Hey guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and this is Comic Uno episode 100. Yes, we are at the milestone 100. I can't believe I've done 100 episodes of this. This is pretty cool. And I've been pretty consistent with the episodes too, so that is really awesome. But let's get started. The show is where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. We got Worst Pick of the Week to Best Pick of the Week. This week is a pretty decent amount of books. Got 19 books. So let's get started. What was Worst Pick of the Week? Which was Green Lantern, issue 41. I kind of, I got this I got this on whim. I have not really been enjoying Vendetti's run on Green Lantern. I haven't been keeping that a secret, but I gave it a try because I wanted to give all these New Direction DC books a try, and really, even give a lot of the issue 1s a try, and Green Lantern still is the same thing. It's kind of a bore fest. And this issue is a bore fest too. It's Hal Jordan, he's in this jail, he tries to save people, and then he sees, oh no, the Green Lantern Corps is gone, and that's the issue. I will say the artwork is actually really well done with the issue, though, even though Hal Jordan looks a bit weird in his new costume and his long hair. I don't know what's with DC and these long hair things, but, yeah, and then this whole Nick Lachey advertisement. I mean, that's with all the DC books. I just saw that. I'm like, I'm really curious of why they did that. It looks so photoshopped. That's there. But yeah, so that's the artwork. I really enjoy the artwork, but the story could be a bit better. Right? There's no hook. There's nothing I was really interested in. It just didn't really feel like Hal Jordan. It just felt like a letdown. So I won't be getting Green Lantern issue 42, but I'm glad I gave it a try. So Green Lantern issue 41 gets 2 stars. That was number 19, and Worst Pick of the Week. Number 18 is Batman Beyond, issue 1. Another book I kind of got on whim because I was like, alright, you know what? I'm going to try Batman Beyond. I read all that Future's End stuff. I liked Tim Drake as a character, so why not? Why not try it? So, I read Batman Beyond, and it wasn't that great. I personally have never been a big fan of the Batman Beyond universe, so that's why I said I got it on whim. And Tim Drake didn't really make it any better. It was him navigating the world and this new world he lives in, but it didn't really tie into Future's End at all. And I kind of wish it did, because it would make Future's End feel like it was worth something. Now, one thing I enjoyed with the issue, but I don't think was enough for me to get issue 2, was the Barbara Gordon ending. I'm a huge Barbara Gordon fan, and then we get to see, oh, well, Barbara Gordon's in this universe, and she's not Oracle like she was in she wasn't in a wheelchair in never mind. I was gonna say she was in a wheelchair in Batman Beyond, but she wasn't. She was the commissioner in Batman Beyond. But yeah, she was here in the last page. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe, I don't know if I really want to get the next issue, though. I kind of want to read more with Barbara Gordon, because I love her as a character, but this issue is really a bore fest, so I'll have to debate if I'm gonna get issue 2 or not, but this wasn't great. The artwork wasn't great either. It was pretty much just very similar to Future's End. So I gave Batman Beyond issue 1 2 stars. Alright, so now we are moving on to number 17, which is Secret Wars, issue 3. This actually was an improvement from issue 2. I'm still not loving Jonathan Hickman's dialogue. It's just not my style. I think he's very wordy. Says a lot of unnecessary things. It's like, alright, get to the point now. So I'm not a big fan of his writing style. So that's one thing that kind of takes me back from Secret Wars. But I will say the plot does progress a bit more here. And it's a bit interesting. We get to see that some of the heroes from our regular universe remembers the incursions. And I guess Doom God does not like the idea of this because he wants everyone to forget. And it seems like Thanos, he's dealing with his stuff. He's trying to create an army to go against Doom, and that's, that's pretty much story. But I do like the idea that people do remember, and, there are people that are going to want to go against Doom. And the artwork, I think, is an improvement. I still don't really like the lips. I don't know. I don't like their facial expression, like the way they... Yeah, I don't like their facial expressions, but I do like the artwork overall. Like over here is pretty good. The coloring's really great. So overall, Secret Wars is a 3-star book. It's an improvement, but still not loving it. Alright, now we're moving on to number 16. I want to make sure it's number 16. Yes, we are up to number 16, which is The Flash, Season 0, Issue 9. So, I've been picking up The Flash. Most of the issues are pretty good. This is okay. You know why? Because it has the Suicide Squad. I do not like the Suicide Squad of the Arrow/Flash universe. I just can't. They keep pushing it. Still don't like them. And it's mostly a Suicide Squad issue. It's Flash trying to kind of teaming up with them in this new shark mutant. And he's like, oh, you know, I'm glad that this shark mutant found found a group of people. And that's what happens. It's not much of a Flash issue. It's just him teaming up with the Suicide Squad. And the artwork is pretty good. I think it fits the style of the book. But there wasn't a lot of character moments, there wasn't a lot to love here. So, 3 stars, it was okay. You know, it tells a good enough story, but I don't think it's really that much worth picking up. So it's 3 stars, it's up to you guys. Alright, moving on to number 15, which is Action Comics issue 41. So I gave this a try. I usually don't pick up Superman, especially with the new 52, but I want to give a lot of these new titles a try, like I said earlier in this episode, and it was okay, this issue. I won't say it was a hook. I think that was the biggest problem with this issue. It's very much Clark realizing what it means to truly be human and not have powers. And you see that some people love him and some people hate him. And by the end of the issue, the police are going up against his block, the people that actually do like him. And we'll see how that ends. But I will say one downfall for this issue especially is the artwork. I just couldn't get into it. It's very thin-lined, just not my style of art. So that's one thing that brought the issue down for me. And again, it doesn't really progress the story that much. There's not a big hook in the issue, but it's okay. You know, it gives me enough to say, alright, I'll try the next issue. So I'll give the next Superman tie-in a try, seeing where it goes, but I'm glad I gave it a try. I do think $3.99 is a bit expensive for the book, but 3 stars. Action Comics. All right, moving on to we're up to number 14, which is All New X-Men issue 41. Not a bad issue. I think if this was just a regular issue, All New X-Men, I'd be like, alright, 3.5 stars. But I will give this 3 stars because you're going to have to wait until September to get the next issue. And this is mostly learning a little bit about who is on Utopia and why the hell they're on Utopia. And it's S.H.I.E.L.D. pushing these new mutants away. But the characters that are on Utopia, which aren't new mutants really, they're, pretty old. They're characters that have existed before, and they're well-known mutants, and that's Random, Mass, Elixir, Boom Boom, Karma, and Madison Jeffries. So those are the characters we see, and I would say the bigger ones are definitely Boom Boom and Karma, the bigger 2. But if you like these characters, I think you'll like the issue. For me, I'm not a big fan of them. Like, I like Boom Boom from the X-Men Evolution cartoons, but never been a huge fan of her in the comics, and the same goes for Karma. But if you're a fan of these characters, I think you'll like it. And obviously their idea of like, hey, why can't we stay on Utopia? You guys destroyed it. We're not trying to bother anybody. And they're like, yeah, they have a good point. And S.H.I.E.L.D. also says they do have a good point. So it's very much a setup issue to leading into Uncanny X-Men issue 600, which we're going to have to wait until September for, which kind of sucks. It's the last issue of Brian Michael Bendis' run on the X-Men, but hopefully it seems like every issue's leading into that, so hopefully a lot happens with it. So yeah, overall, All New X-Men issue 41 gets 3 stars. Artwork is okay. It's definitely a bit on the cartoony side, but it was an okay issue. So All New X-Men issue 41 gets 3 stars. I think we're up to number 13. We are up to number 13, which is Green Arrow issue 41. I was actually very skeptical about this issue because I'm like, I miss my old creative team for Green Arrow. I love what they did. I love that they mixed the pre-New 52, the New 52, and Arrow all in one book. And also, one of my favorite characters of all time, Mia Dearden, was, introduced in the New 52 with that. And I was like, alright, cool, awesome, we got Mia Dearden. So I was fearful that the new creative team would kind of forget about all of that. And they kind of did. Mia Dearden's not in this book, Felicity's not in this book, and neither is Diggle. It's with Amiko, Oliver's sister, and one of the partners. I see, I never even cared about the New 52 partners. I always forget their names. But the male partner, he's there too for like a second. But you know, it's not a bad story, and that's why it's a bit higher. We have an interesting mystery story where people are being taken away, and Oliver has to, you know, obviously find out who these people are. It's a bit darker. That's, you know, as Lemire's book was dark, this is the same kind of darker Oliver, which I'm not a big fan of, and, you know, he has a weird haircut now, but the artwork is pretty good here. It's not dark artwork, it's just a dark story. And I like the story that he has with Emiko. I do like her as a character, seeing him have a sister and her be like, hey, I'm better than everyone else in school, but, you know, she's got to learn her social skills now. So I like that. And, you know, I hope this new creative team can bring what the old creative team brought in future issues, and I still hope for that. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I hope at least bring in Mia Dearden, because that was a big happy moment for me when she was back, and it's kind of disappointing that, you know, all of that was erased away. But at least we got those issues, right? So Green Arrow issue 41 for me gets 3.5 stars. It wasn't a bad start, but it's still kind of annoying that they erased a lot from the last creative team. Which Green Arrow tends to do a lot. It's just like, we don't care about that. Let's do this now. Alright, moving on to number 12, which is Amazing SpiderMan, issue 18.1. Not a bad issue. It's an okay issue. I do think the previous Amazing Spider-Man points, the Jerry Conway books have been a bit better, focusing on Wrath a bit more. Here, it's a bit of a filler issue, I'll say. We do get to see that Black Cat and Spidey, they interact with each other, they don't totally forgive each other, and which is kind of annoying. This whole Black Cat is evil for some random reason. They still haven't totally explained it. It's because Dr. Octopus was, you know, bad to her. She's still evil, even though she knows this is not Dr. Octopus anymore. Still don't get that, but she's in this issue as an evil person. And I like Wrath a lot here. That's what I've been enjoying about these point ones is, you know, talking more about her character and learning more about her character. But I kind of wish it focused a bit more on her. Again, it's a bit of a filler issue. There's not a lot that goes on, but it's that question of justice, of is Wrath going to be evil, is she going to be good, and is there even an opportunity for a bad person to become good and a good person to become bad, or even a bad person doing good things and a good person doing bad things. So it's just this whole gray line. So it's very much exploring that. And the artwork's pretty good here. I like the artwork, so it's an okay issue. You know, it could have progressed the story a bit more, but we'll see where it goes. Amazing Spider-Man issue 18.1 gets 3.5 stars. Alright, number 11 is Morning Glories, issue 46. A little disappointed this is lower than it usually is, but the reason is the character that we have here is our main character. I can never say her name. Aquino, I think her full name is. She's not a character I particularly like that much, so when issues focus on her, I'm like, alright. But things I liked about this issue is the themes that are brought up. That, you know, Casey is an angel, maybe all these characters are angels, or, you know, demons, you know, because it's always that question of, what the hell is Morning Glories? There's so much religious connotation to it, so are people angels? Is this purgatory? Is it not? So it digs a bit deeper into that and more into like their powers. And one line I really enjoyed was from Casey, because I want to say Nico. She asks, you know, they're going on a plane ride, and Casey says, oh, you want any, like, candy bars to bring on? It's like, you know, with your powers, you don't need candy or any of that stuff. It's like, well, I don't really want to rely on my powers. If I don't want candy, you know, these powers are not worth it. I don't want these powers to define me. So that's something I enjoyed about the issue, were a lot of lines like that, and I really enjoyed that scene a lot. And the artwork, of course, by Joe Eisma is beautiful, but I think it's the connection to this character. I just don't love the character that much, and that's why it's a bit lower. But still a good issue, and a lot of themes are explored. Alright, so I gave that 3.5. Moving on to number 10, which is Wonder Woman Annual, issue 1. I think this has been a bigger improvement from what we've been getting with Wonder Woman. We definitely get some story progression here with Donna Troy. You know, Donna believes that she has to destroy Wonder Woman, that she had to destroy all these males, and then Wonder Woman says, this is not your path. You know, destroying these people is not the right thing to do. That doesn't make you an Amazon. This doesn't make you a sister. You know, this is not you. And, you know, she is able to defeat Donna and show her power again. And that's pretty much the whole story, is obviously defeating Donna and, you know, Wonder Woman getting her rightful place here. And then we do get a secondary story learning more about the older witch and learning more about her and how she became that and how she, obviously why she created Donna and what was her motives of all that and why she hates males. We learn her origin story a bit here. And I really enjoyed the artwork for that origin story too. But yeah, you know, I thought this was a better issue, and I think it'll just keep getting better and better, and hopefully we'll learn more about Donna, and hopefully this won't be the last we see Donna, because yes, it's a different incarnation of the character, but I'm still very interested to see where she goes, and hopefully we get to see the Donna we knew from the pre-New 52, a bit of a lighter character, but how does she get to that point, and that's what I'm interested in, and this is a pretty good issue. So Wonder Woman Annual Issue 1 gets 3.5 stars. The artwork I'm still getting used to it. I do think it's a bit on the darker side, but I think it's definitely getting there as a series, and I'm getting more interested in Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman Annual Issue 1 gets 3.5 stars. Moving on to number 9, which is Spider-Woman Issue 8. This is a fun issue. I will say the arc itself I didn't love, but I like the interactions that Jessica has here. You know, the arc is pretty much about these wives of villains and how they were treated and why they deserve to have this place. And Jessica, she is defeated. She's beat up by by Wonder Woman, and she finally understands why they need this place. She says, you know what? I'm gonna look the other way for now for what you did. You know, you broke a lot of laws. If you don't break laws, you could keep this place. And I thought that was kind of the interesting twist. Again, did I enjoy the characters of the arc? Not so much. Did I enjoy Jessica? Yeah, I enjoyed Jessica a lot here. And also, the cliffhanger, or, you know, the ending was really good for the issue, too. I like that Ben is going to be part of this whole pack with Jessica, and they're going to work together to, you know, solve crime and, you know, make the world a better place. And it seems like we're also going to get that other character joining in on the fun. I think it's a kind of cool Scooby Gang for them. So, and also this is one of the only series I think that's continuing through Secret Wars. So if you like the series and if you want to, you know, obviously have a regular series to read, Spider-Woman might be the one to read because it's the only one that's not really being affected so far. So Spider-Woman issue 8 for me gets 3.5 stars. I do think the arc could have been a bit better, but I think the stuff that Jessica did here was a lot of fun. And also it's leading into some fun story arcs, it seems. Alright, moving on to number 8, which is Princess Leia, issue 4. I thought this is a very solid issue. You know, one thing I'll give this miniseries is I was not a Star Wars fan before this, but it got me really interested in Princess Leia's character in the Star Wars universe. And Kanan is also a series that has done that also. But yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. I think it really delves into Princess Leia's character and what type of character she is, because there's a traitor amongst her, Tula, and Tula's only trying to communicate with her sister. She didn't know she was a traitor. So Princess Leia trades herself, that way Tula gets her sister back. And, you know, she obviously has a plan up her sleeves. We don't know what it is, but it stayed very true to her character. And I like that it delved into her character a lot. It was an interesting story, very solid story with beautiful artwork. Love the artwork for this series, and hopefully we get to see more Princess Leia adventures. I know this is just a mini-series, but I really enjoyed it, and I would really like to see Princess Leia get her own ongoing. I think she deserves it. So Princess Leia issue 4 for me gets 4 stars, and I thought it was a pretty good issue. So that was number 8. So now we're moving on to number 7, which is Justice League, issue 41. This was a really good, solid start for, or I guess second issue for Darkseid Wars, because there's a lot that happens. We learn that Darkseid has some followers, and one follower is Lex Luthor's sister, and is willing to shoot Lex Luthor. We learn why the Darkseid's followers were trying to find this Miranda Black person, that she wants to kill Darkseid, and it seems like her whole life has been about killing Darkseid. We learn a bit about Darkseid's daughter, which a lot of the issues, Darkseid daughter, fighting the Justice League. And it's just a lot of information you learn, but it doesn't feel too compacted. You actually just have a lot of information, but it flows very well. That's something I liked about the issue. And the artwork is just beautiful here. And, you know, there's some cool Lex Luthor moments that I enjoyed a lot here. If you're looking for Justice League moments, you don't really get that here. But there's a lot of new characters that are introduced that have a lot of cool things to do. And also Jessica Cruz, you know, she has some story finally to tell, too. I hope we get a whole issue dedicated to her. I think she deserves it. As a new character, she does need some more development. Yeah, overall I thought this was very solid, and it gets me excited to see where Darkseid Wars goes. So Justice League issue 41 is number 7, and gave it a solid 4 stars. Moving on to number 6, which is Giant Size Little Marvels Avengers vs. X-Men issue 1. This was really fun. This is something I got on whim, and I was not expecting what I actually got. Usually with these giant-sized books and these funny books with Marvel, they kind of overdo it. It's like, oh, that was way too long, and the joke lasted too long. But here, I thought the jokes landed really well, and there was 2 stories. It fit very well, and it's Magic. Magic, who has like these stuffed animals things, and Tony tries to destroy it. I thought that was a good back and forth. It is also the X-Men having a barbecue type thing, or a food stand, and Avengers having a food stand. Who wins? And it was just a lot of fun. The artwork was great by Scotty Young, and very fun issue. If you like Tiny Titans, this is very much in the vein of that, and I don't think they overdo the comedy. I think it was just right. So 4 stars. I will be getting the next issue for this Little Avengers issue. Giant size Little Marvels. Alright, so now we're moving on to number 5, which is Superior Iron Man issue 9. I think this would actually be higher if this wasn't the last issue. That's my only complaint, is I want more. With Secret Wars, the disappointing thing is, and the bad thing about Secret Wars is that a lot of these arcs that I've been enjoying with Marvel had to come to a close. And you don't know if you're going to get them back, what's going to happen after, will any of the story affect anything? Will it, the Marvel Universe be too changed that Superior Iron Man won't matter? And that's, something that's disappointing. But this issue is done so well, because Superior Iron Man wins. He does. But Pepper tries, for one last time, tries to get through to Iron Man and tries to get through to Tony, but can't. And Pepper makes the decision, like, alright, well, now I gotta go against you, and I will tell the world. I own this media outlet. I'm gonna tell the world that you're doing the wrong thing, and you're not gonna have any followers. And a pompous person like you need followers. And it was great seeing Pepper's new suit. It was great to see her as Rescue again, and I love how Tom Taylor writes female characters. I think he wrote Pepper so well in this issue, and every issue he's been writing Pepper, but it was just so fun to see in a rescue suit. And one thing that I thought was really interesting is usually Rescue, like the name, is a defensive suit. Now here we actually get some offensive powers, and Pepper has always been against that. So I think it's cool that she's kind of developing more towards the offensive side of these suits. So very solid issue. Again, this would have been higher if it wasn't the final issue, and it kind of left on a cliffhanger. It's kind of bittersweet. But excited, hopefully, for Tom Taylor to continue his run on Iron Man, because I've been really enjoying it. So Superior Iron Man issue 9 gets a solid 4 stars, and that was number 5. Alright, now we're moving on to number 4, which is Jupiter's Circle, issue 3. I've been totally impressed with this series. I didn't expect to like it, and one thing I will say, Millar is actually releasing this every month. It has not been delayed, and that's like never happens with Millar's books. I love his writing, but it's always delayed, and I always get upset with that. But Jupiter's Circles has been on time for the most part, well, so far for these 3 issues. So let's cross our fingers it stays that way. But yeah, Jupiter's Circle. This issue we get to see that one of the heroes is cheating on his wife, and this girl wants to become a superhero. This 19-year-old girl wants to become a superhero, and the people that are on his team is like, she can't join our team. Like, we know your wife. This is horrible. Why are you doing this? And he realizes that he loves this person, so in the end asks her to be engaged. But then we have the mother, who it seems like that, or the wife, the wife of him, let me point this better. All right, the wife of him, now they're divorced, and the son seems very overprotective. It's like, don't worry, Mom, I'll protect you. We're gonna deal with this. So I think in hopefully the next Jupiter's series, we'll see who the son was, because I know Jupiter's Legacy obviously delved into that, and you know what happens to the mother, what happens to this couple. It makes me want to go back to Jupiter's Legacy, which is great. I think Jupiter's Circle actually should have came first. But yeah, really great issue. I thought the beats were done very well. Some interesting story. It's kind of cool to see how these superheroes are so corrupt, and it makes you very interested in these characters. Artwork is also beautiful too. Really like the art style. I think it works really well. And just a really cool superhero story. Totally recommend Jupiter's Circle issue 3. It was a really good issue. So that's 4 stars for me. Now it's number 4. Alright, moving on to number 3, which is Years of Futures Past, issue 1. Big Kitty Pryde issue, slash Christie issue. Because this issue is about the world where the mutants are in concentration camps. They're not allowed to have children, and the last child is Christie and Wolverine's child. So she's the youngest X-Men, kind of like her mother was all those years ago. And now they get out of their camps. They get their powers again, and Christie actually realizes that she has powers because she's always been a mutant but never even knew she had powers. So it's kind of very similar to Colossus's powers, and Wolverine's son's powers are similar to Kitty's powers. But he's able to phase, but he has like this gas phase power, which I thought was a cool thing. But yeah, I would say this was a very solid issue. Very close to 4.5 stars because the artwork is so beautiful, but I think this is just very solid setup. You know, I do want to see where Christie goes with Wolverine's son trying to go on the side of President Kelly. I think that's a bit weird, but we'll see how that works out. Also, it's always a little bit weird to see Kitty as an older person, but it seems like they definitely got her character right, and it's cool to see that Christie has the same personalities of her father and of her mother. But this series has so much potential, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. So, Years of Futures Past issue 1 gets a solid 4 stars. I really enjoyed this issue. Alright, now we're moving on to number 2, which is The Amazing SpiderMan issue 1, Renew Your Vows. It did not make number 1, but I love this issue. I will say the only nitpicks I really had, the art could have been a little bit better at points. I think it was a little sketchy in different points, like facial expression wise. Let me just see. I think in the beginning you have a little bit of that. Let's see, like over here, there's some of the proportions could have been a bit better, but also I think the Avengers story could have been mixed in a bit better, but this was a good tale. First of all, Mary Jane and Peter being together, Annie / Mayday existing, and it's a story of how Peter, yeah, he killed somebody in the end, that's a controversial part, but it was to save his family, and then he gave up being Spider-Man. He's like, you know, my responsibility is in another place now. And I love in the end, because this is all a tale, it's all like happened years ago, of how the day superheroes kind of died, and Peter's crossed the street, and you think, oh, he's got to go save the day with, you know, I think it was Vulture, it was in the end, and he's like, oh, well, he's going to save the day and, you know, save that woman who got her pocketbook stolen. But instead, he's just teaching Annie how to cross the street. And you know, I think the interesting thing is going to be that, yes, Peter is out of the game now, but once Annie develops her powers, which we know is going to happen because of the solicits, what's going to happen then? You know, is he going to try to protect her? It's going to be very much a throwback to Spider-Girl. Now, Peter dealt with May there, but one thing I love what Dan Slott did here was the character moments. I thought he wrote Mary Jane so perfectly, which has been a complaint recently in Amazing SpiderMan, but she was so great here. You know, chasing the fire truck to save her daughter, and you know, the back and forth Peter and Mary Jane had in this issue were great. I love their relationship here, and I'm super excited to see where Renew Your Vows goes. So, Amazing SpiderMan Renew Your Vows gets 4.5 stars. Alright, so, pick of the week, what was number 1? And that was Broken World issue 1. This is from Boom Studios, and it was just a random book I got, but I loved it. This is how you do a first issue. It's about this post-apocalyptic world, and you know, there's this college professor and also a mother who there's something fishy about her. You know, she's trying to get off this world. The whole point is that criminals and people that I guess were judged, they have to stay on Earth, and then there are people that did everything right that goes off and, you know, saved. And, you know, our main character, she's trying to get saved, even though it seems like she's done stuff wrong. And the family doesn't know about it. Even though she seems like this normal person, she has done something wrong, and we don't really know what that thing is. But in the end, they find out that she's forged her papers, that she has done something wrong, and she can't go off Earth, and her family is now off Earth, and she is, now she is, staying on Earth, and hopefully find out more about her mystery. But the artwork was so clean, the character development was so great. I cared about this character right towards the first few pages, and great mystery, great world building. It was just a wonderful issue, and it got me so excited to read issue 2, and that's why this was my pick of the week. Really enjoyed it. So Broken World issue 1, pick it up, Boom Studios, pick of the week. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below what was your pick of the week, your worst pick of the week, and everything in between. Thank you guys for following me for 100 episodes. It's been great, and I can't wait for 100 more. This is Comic Uno. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, in the description below, there's links for my comic book, like Father Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page. Oh, like Father Like Daughter. I'll see you guys later.